Hi, this is Margaret Maloney, and welcome to the Death Dhamma Podcast. In a series I used to read, occasionally one character would say to the other, "May you live in interesting times." It was understood that this was a curse, where interesting times meant chaos and difficulty. Well, we do live in interesting times. I mean, don't we always? So this season, together we will explore equanimity and chaos, recognizing that many aspects of life are beyond our control. Let's find a sense of balance and peace amid external chaos. Well, hello there, and thank you for coming back to the Death Dhamma Podcast. We've been focusing on chaos and equanimity this season. On occasional, we've had some more obvious discussions about death and dying. And the chaos and equanimity discussions are more around things around us that are potentially dying or changing, definitely. And our world, our politics, our culture, a lot of things are changing all the time. And that's what really started the theme for the season of chaos and equanimity. But I don't want us to forget our roots. What I mean by our roots is, again, this is a Buddhist podcast that was started to talk about death and dying. And we started off in the first season with interviewing different people about their experiences with death. And then we talked about impermanence, right? Death with a little d, because death with a big D could be, a sentient being whom we love dies, but things around us are changing all the time. So that's impermanence. And we've spoken about clinging and aversion. And all of this is meant to support us on our journey. And definitely, again, coming back to being comfortable with the Four Noble Truths, and that there is suffering or can be suffering or discomfort, dis-ease, and that it comes from clinging and aversion, and that there's a way out, and that we understand that when people we love die, that's certainly, we can experience quite a bit of suffering and grieving. And as things change in our lives that we thought weren't going to change, we also experience the same thing. And in these discussions, we so often explore teachings from the Pali Canon. And so with that thought in mind, today I'm going to do a little more dive into some of the practical reasons for equanimity, or practical examples of what equanimity looks like in our everyday lives. This coming not from a Pali Canon reading, just some general thoughts. Equanimity allows us to respond to criticism. So instead of being defensive when someone criticizes us, when you and I can come from a place of equanimity, we can listen carefully and evaluate the feedback and decide whether or not it can be used for personal growth. Just because somebody criticizes you doesn't mean you have to do something about it, right? Equanimity helps you and I maintain peace in stressful work situations when things become high pressure. Equanimity helps us to stay focused, calm, and collected, even when there are difficult deadlines, which would be pretty much, I think, all the time, probably for most of you out there in the work world, and for me as well, often. So the ability to keep a level head helps us have better problem solving and helps us get through it. Okay, handling personal loss with grace. Okay, this is definitely about our losing a loved one, losing a job, right? Equanimity really helps us to process our grief. Remember, equanimity isn't a promise that we won't have grief or a sense of loss, but perhaps we can say it helps us accept impermanence more quickly. Staying unruffled during an argument, right? So if you've ever having a discussion with a partner, friend, something, equanimity can look like staying calm and really listening to understand, not listening so that you can, say your next zinger because you're trying to win a debate as opposed to win a relationship. And when I say win a relationship, I mean, continue to get along in a positive manner. Equanimity is practicing patience when we have a daily inconvenience, whether it's, not losing your mind in traffic, not getting grumpy when you're in line at the grocery store. It's just waiting calmly and accepting this is how it is. Keeping composure in emergencies when there's a crisis, right? a natural disaster, equanimity allows us to think clearly and to make decisions that are based, hopefully, more on clarity and a form of logic, which also leads us to being able to have balanced response to the news. And even though we really need to equanimity, I'll say, also starts with watch that doom scrolling, right? So we want to manage our doom scrolling, because equanimity does not look like scrolling through news channels and social media all day long. It also looks like when you read something that you don't like, it is a reminder not to become upset or emotionally distressed or emotionally attached, because you don't know what's going to really happen. And that also leads us to equanimity is being, not attached to success or failure, right? And so doing your work with grace, doing the best job that you can, working to move ahead as it makes sense to in your life. And when you do receive recognition or a promotion, receiving it without arrogance. And when things don't go as planned, when we experience failure, accepting it as an opportunity for growth without becoming full of despair, right? It is also about being calm and navigating our relationship dynamics. Maybe it's going to that difficult family get-together or a difficult friendship. But equanimity looks like approaching misunderstandings or conflicts in a calm way, trying to understand before someone understands you even, and valuing harmony over, making that winning statement of having to win that debate. Equanimity is adapting to change with acceptance. When your company lets you know that they're relocating to another geographic area, or someone you care about is moving away, equanimity allows you to understand that these transitions will happen and to approach them in a calm and open way, as opposed to resisting. And resisting just makes it harder. Equanimity looks like dealing with health challenges, whether it's yours or someone else's. It's having that balanced mind of seeking to understand, let's say, a diagnosis, accepting it, but acceptance doesn't mean to seek solutions and support. So you do still take charge of your own health and your health care, and perhaps helping someone else. This is the diagnosis you've received. Now, how can you do something, or what can you do about it, right? Which also means receiving unfavorable outcomes gracefully, right? So when something doesn't go your way, you wanted a job, you wanted to be friends with somebody, you wanted a relationship to work out. It's accepting the outcome and moving on and moving on. It is also balancing your emotional investment, right? So when you have love, you really love someone deeply, it's loving them without losing yourself completely. It's that healthy balance. It's facing fear with courage, recognizing that you're afraid of something, but not letting that fear control you and your decisions and your actions. When you avoid doing something and you change your whole day around it, or you change your whole schedule around something, or a traffic route around it, or you don't go to a specific event because of something that you're afraid of. Maintaining dignity is also a form of equanimity, right? So when you have that difficult situation, perhaps you play on a sports team and you lose. It's accepting that loss with humility and dignity. It's handling unpredictable situations, so surprises, right? When people cancel, or something you're expecting to happen changes, your vacation gets canceled, your flight gets canceled, the weather on your vacation is terrible. There's so many different directions we could go with this one, right? So it's handling it with calm and flexibility and minimizing frustration or anger. It's not allowing others to provoke you. That antagonistic person who purposefully likes to try to say things to see how you respond. I actually am thinking of somebody very specific right now in my head who will try to keep saying things and saying them over and over again. And he'll say it louder and louder because I guess at first he thinks I don't hear him because I work so hard not to answer, to just not even register any of it. Mindfulness in daily activities. It's paying attention to what you're doing. When you're eating, you're eating. When you're walking, right? And that also means, not looking at the phone when people are trying to talk to you. And working to cultivate your inner peace amidst the chaos. That's us. And that's us during these times. But really, this is us in any of the times in our lives in these moments. It is finding time for reflection, meditation, or being still, because it's this time for inner peace. It's this, your meditation practice and your mindfulness practice that allows you to exhibit all these other forms of equanimity that we just discussed. You've been listening to the Death Dhamma Podcast with your host, Margaret Maloney. Thank you so much for being here. Come find me on margaretmaloney.com, margaretmeloni.com. And until we meet again, may you be well, may you be happy, may you be at ease, and may you be free from suffering. Bye for now.